Welcome to another episode of PSLE Science Made Simple. I'm Chen Hong and I'm a PSLE Science Specialist here in the Pique Lab. In this video, I'll be analysing a past year examination question on the topic of Web of Life. I've also prepared this question for you to download for free by clicking a link in the description box below. So, let's get started.
Question 6. Study the food web in Community A. Now, whenever we look at the food web, we must focus on where it starts and where it ends. So let us identify the start. We see that the start is the strawberry plant. Now, what do we call the strawberry plant? We call it the food producer and I will label it as FP. Now, as we trace the food chains in the food web, we will always end up with which organism? You see that you will always end up with a snake only. So what does that tell us about the position of the snake in this food web? The snake is the final organism in the food web and we call this the king, which some of your teachers will call it the apex predator. But we will call the snake king for simplicity's sake. So we can see that the food chains in the food web starts from the food producer and ends with the king. Now let us look at the other organisms and find out what are the other terms that we can use to classify them. The grasshopper and the fruit fly both feed on the food producer, so what do we call them? They are plant eaters, so we call them herbivores. Now, can we call the herbivores predators of the strawberry plant? No, we do not call them predators because prey and predators are terms we use for animals only. So with this understanding, let us move on to the birds and the frogs. Can we call the birds and the frogs predators? Yes, we can call them predators as they are animals feeding on other animals. We see that the bird is feeding on the grasshopper and the frog is feeding on both the grasshopper and the fruit fly. But at the same time, both the frog and the bird are also prey of the snake. So this is a simplistic overview of the different organisms and how we can classify them. Let us continue reading the question over here. The graph shows the changes in the population of frogs over a period of time. There are so many organisms in the food web, but the question specifically chose to focus on the population of frogs. I want you to identify where is the frog in the food web. We can see that the frog is over here. From this point, I will always tell my students to analyze the organisms that are directly related to the frog. So to analyze this question, I will focus on the grasshopper, fruit fly, and the snake only. So what will cause the population of the frogs to increase or decrease as shown in the graph? If we were to look at the frog, we will focus on its food source, which are its prey, and we can focus on who eats the frog, which are its predators. So under the food source, we have grasshoppers and we have fruit flies. And under predator, we have the snake. So if we read on this question over here, it says that which of the following best explains the change in population of the frogs at YZ in the graph? Which means that the question did not require us to focus on why the population of the frogs increase, but instead focus on what would cause the population of the frogs to decrease as shown in YZ. So let us transfer the decrease in frogs population to the workings that we have drawn, and also the food web. So what would cause the frogs population to decrease? We can start analyzing from the predators first. For the frogs population to decrease, should there be more predators or less predators feeding on the frogs? There should be more predators feeding on the frogs. Which means that if I were to annotate on the population of snakes, should I annotate an increase or decrease in the snake's population? I should annotate an increase in the snake's population, and we will do that in the food web as well. And this will show us that there is now more snakes feeding on the frogs, causing the population of frogs to decrease. In terms of food sources, what will cause the frogs population to decrease? Should the frogs have more food or less food to feed on? The frogs should have less food to feed on, which means that there will be a decrease in either the grasshopper's population or a decrease in the fruit flies population or a decrease in both the grasshopper and the fruit flies population. Let us write that in our food web as well. After analyzing the organisms directly related to the frog, we have sufficiently annotated the question already. So let us look at the option and see if we can find the correct answer. Option 1. An addition of grasshoppers to the community. What will happen if I have added more grasshopper into a community? Would I see an increase or a decrease in the population of the grasshoppers? I would see an increase in the population of grasshoppers because an addition means you plus more grasshoppers. But in our annotation above, we see that there is a decrease in the population of grasshopper. So can we choose option 1 as a correct answer? No. Now let us look at option 2, which says an addition of strawberry plants to the community. Have we talked about strawberry plants yet? No. But since the option wants to bring up an addition of strawberry plants, should there be an increase or decrease in the strawberry plants population? We would see an increase in the strawberry plants population. Let us annotate that in our food web and analyze from the food web. Will an increase in the strawberry plants population cause a decrease in the population of both the grasshopper and the fruit fly? The answer is no. Instead, it will cause an increase because now there's more food, which is the strawberry plants, for the grasshopper and fruit flies to feed on. This means that an addition of strawberry plants will not give us the effect that we are looking for, which is the population of grasshopper and fruit flies decreasing. So let us cross out this option as well. For the third option, it says that there's a removal of grasshopper from the community. If I were to remove the grasshopper from the community, will the frogs now have more food or less food to feed on? The frogs will have less food to feed on. So some of the frogs will go hungry and starve to death, causing their population to decrease. Thus, the removal of grasshoppers will definitely cause the population of frogs to decrease, which means option 3 is a possible answer. Lastly, we have the removal of fruit fly and grasshopper from the community, which means that you are taking away both the grasshopper and the fruit fly from the community, which are the frog's food sources. Which means now the frog will not have enough food to eat. So what will happen to the frog's population? The frog's population will decrease as well, which means to say option 4 is also a possible answer. However, now you realize that we have a problem. We have 2 possible answers and we can choose either from option 3 or option 4. So which one should we choose? Now, if you look back at the question, it does have a hint for us that says the population size of the frog did not decrease to 0. So what is the significance of this hint over here? Let us think. What does it mean when the frog's population decreases to 0? This means that the frog's population has been wiped out from the community. And how will the frogs be wiped out? They are only wiped out because they have no more food to feed on, causing all of them to starve to death and eventually die. So if the hint says that the frog's population did not decrease to 0, were the frogs wiped out? This tells us that the frogs were not wiped out and the frogs still have food to eat. So between options 3 and 4, which scenario will tell us that the frogs still have food to feed on? I would choose option 3, as even though the grasshopper is removed from the community, the frogs still have fruit flies to feed on. Not all of them will die as shown in the graph, because they still have fruit flies to feed on. This is unlike option 4, which removed both the grasshopper and the fruit fly, telling us that there will not be any more food for the frogs to feed on, causing them to be wiped out eventually. Therefore, our answer cannot be option number 4, and the correct answer will be option number 3.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you found this video useful, do give us a thumbs up. If you would like to check out more videos by us, do click on the links on the right hand side. Last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!